Well, we'll move on to the quarterbacks. And similar to the running back class, a lot of people saying this is not the best class, but there's still tons of teams out there that need a starter. So who's kind of your top-rated QB in this class, and where do you expect him to land?
It's interesting what you just said. I think Kenny Pickett, because he's a 4-year starter, 49 starts, 42 touchdowns this year, only 7 interceptions. To me, he would be the number one quarterback because I think he could come in and play right away.
And do you think he'll go to, let's say, the Panthers? I know he's popular mark there, or the Lions are at the top, still potentially needing a quarterback. Have you heard any rumors where you might see Kenny Pickett going?
Yeah, I think 6. I think when Matt Rule looks to his left and he sees Sam Darnold, and he looks to his right and sees Kenny Pickett, ironically, he had recruited him to Temple. So I think there's a Pickett-Matt Rule connection.
Very intriguing. Yeah, that's definitely a good dot to connect there. Malik Willis is the next guy, and for fantasy purposes, often gets drafted in these rookie quote-unquote drafts ahead of Kenny Pickett because he brings that rushing upside. It's a more tantalizing skill set for us fantasy players, given that rushing points crushes it in those formats. What's kind of your evaluation and expectation for Willis, and where would you love to see him land?
Boy, that's a good question. You go in there and you say right now the teams that need a quarterback would be Seattle, Carolina, Detroit, maybe even Pittsburgh. So will somebody else trade up? Maybe, possibly. We saw that last year with Chicago. I do think the first quarterback could go as early as 6, and boy, after that, it may take a bit. I think Detroit takes a quarterback, but I think he goes 32, not 2.
Gotcha. We'll see a big gap there. Now, obviously, he's a smaller school guy, Malik Willis. How worried are you about that? Do you think he's going to make the jump to the pro level okay, or are you worried about the lack of competition he's coming in with?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like it long-term, but I'd love to see him sit for a year. He struggled this year, against Middle Tennessee State. He had those 3 interceptions, and I don't know, there's some things about his game that I think needs to be cleaned up, but I scouted him at the Senior Bowl. We did the game for ESPN, and boy, does he have a rocket arm.
Yeah, it just explodes off his hand. I'd love to see him go to Pittsburgh. It seems like, with Trubisky there as a potential bridge, let him learn a bit, and then he goes into a good organization, great weapons. That's where I would love to see him land. After those top 2, it seems like those are pretty the consensus top 2. How would you rank the next 3 or 4 quarterbacks on your board, and where do you think you'll see him land?
By the way, I think I also owe you Isaiah Spiller, because I don't think I even gave you 4 running backs. So let's make Spiller my 5th back, and then let's go back to so we got Pickett, Willis, and then for me, Corral is 3 from Ole Miss. Matt Corral to me is quick twitch, did a lot of RPOs under Lane Kiffin, but I love his athleticism. Mm-hmm. Then after that, I would draw a line. I like Ridder. I just wish Ridder was a little bit more consistent. But boy, when you look at Ridder's A game, it's really good. I think he goes 32 to Detroit. And then I got Sam Howell as my 5th quarterback. So I gave you 5 running backs, 5 quarterbacks. We're all even.
There we go. I love it. He kept it nice and even here. And that's exactly how I have them ranked, too, for what it's worth. And I do love Corral with that long-term upside, as you mentioned, the RPOs and whatnot. In fantasy, we call it the Konami code, how much of it a cheat code is when you can find a quarterback that runs. And you mentioned Isaiah Spiller, and I know he didn't test at the Combine. Do you think that's going to significantly hurt his draft stock? Like, how does that impact the prospect in your experience?
Yeah, his game is so explosive. Like, there's plenty of, and one of the things I think the Rams have done a great job is they've gotten away from that time speed. They don't even go to the Combine, and they look at play speed, and Spiller's play speed is very good. So if I was picking him, I sure wish I had a time speed, but I don't think that's going to kill him at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where he goes. So there's certainly some needy running back teams, and if that has him fall to, let's say, the Bills in the 2nd round, something of that nature, that'd be exciting in that offense. My goodness. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.